Hey folks, this is Kelani. With the holiday and attendance bosses crippling our raid team for the time being, it seems like there's no better time to break out those heirlooms, pop something on Netflix, and start up another character, or even finish off one you've started already. A lot of changes were made to the amount of experience required to level up between 20 and 120 quite recently. In some cases it was slashed quite dramatically. Overall it's going to take you significantly less time to level, so if you've been putting off leveling some allied races, or you just fancy tinkering with a different class for a little bit, now is definitely the time, as we have a small break between now and the next round of content in BFA, which will hit live servers on January 22nd. I'm going to be filling most of that time with leveling some alts, and I wanted to share a few key pieces of information to make sure you know how to level as quickly and efficiently as possible. So we know that the amount of experience required to level has been reduced. That's going to speed things up a lot when compared to before patch 8.1, but we can always add a little bit of bonus experience on top of that to give us that extra kick. There are a few ways to bump up your experience gains, but not all of them work in the same way. The most readily available and easily accessed form of bonus experience comes from Warmode. This can be a little bit risky. It depends on the faction you're playing on and how lucky you get while moving through the zones, but basically Warmode forces you to play on a PvP server. If you come across a member of the opposite faction while out leveling, you can attack and kill each other. That can add another element to the gameplay if you're about the same level, but honestly most world PvP consists of a max level one-shotting you and moving on with their day. It can be frustrating, it's not the most ideal situation in the world, but the benefits of turning on Warmode outweigh the negatives by far in my opinion. The standard experience bonus for Warmode is 10%, so no matter what happens you're going to get that 10% bonus. That's a pretty decent amount of experience just tacked onto everything you do, but that's the lowest bonus that Warmode can provide. Right now, over on the Alliance side specifically, turning on Warmode will give you 30% bonus experience for all monsters you kill and all quests you complete. That's pretty insane, so be sure to just see how much you stand to benefit from Warmode. I believe 30% is the highest it can go, and it's calculated based upon the faction imbalance in Warmode, so the fewer Alliance players that have Warmode enabled, the higher the experience bonus. It's definitely something to look into if you want to level quickly. Sadly, the Warmode bonus does not apply to any experience you gain in dungeons, so if you want to speedrun through dungeons to level, you don't really have to worry about Warmode, but obviously you're not going to benefit either. One source of bonus experience that does contribute to dungeon runs is heirlooms. I think by now everyone probably has a full set of upgraded heirlooms, but just in case you don't, the easiest way to get these is by buying them with gold. You can find a vendor in Ironforge or Orgrimmar. You'll need to buy a full set if you want the maximum benefit from heirlooms, and if you want the experience bonus to follow you all the way to level 110, you need to upgrade the heirlooms several times. It's a bit of a pain, but you only have to do it once. Buying a bunch of heirlooms will also reward you with an heirloom mount, which can be used below level 20, which definitely speeds up that otherwise quite slow section of leveling, simply due to travel time. I don't think there are any restrictions on heirlooms and their bonus experience, so be sure to equip as many as you can regardless of how you plan to level. A new source of bonus experience was just introduced as well, but you will need a max level character to make use of this one, at least to pick up the potions to begin with. The new Warfront vendor sells drafts of 10 lands, a new potion which grants you 10 of every stat and 10% bonus experience for 1 hour. This potion persists through death and will cost you 5 service medals. They're going to be different depending on Alliance and Horde. These potions are bind on account though, which means you can send them to any character on your account, no matter which faction they happen to be on. Not a bad deal for sure, but you are going to need some of those service medals to make this happen. You can collect service medals from taking part in the faction assaults or incursions, which pop up about once a day. Just watch for the big symbol on your map. Some of the world quests there have a chance to reward the medals, but you typically get a handful for completing the little meta quest of finishing 4 world quests in the invasion. You can also get them from doing world quests in Warfront zones, so Arathi Highlands or Darkshore. If your faction controls the zone, you can see world quests over there. Each one rewards 1 service medal, so if you check back over a few days, you should have enough medals for a few of these experience potions. And then you also get some for completing the quest to complete a Warfront whenever you start attacking it again, which is once per cycle for each Warfront, so I guess there's another reason to do the Warfronts at least once. I'll take the free 385 gear on top as well quite happily, but just know that those medals can go to some good use as well, especially if you're wanting to level up. The last source of bonus experience you can get your hands on quite easily is an experience gem. An insightful Rubelite will give you an extra 5% bonus experience on top of everything else, and you can pick it up from the auction house incredibly cheap. Just a few gold. 5% might not sound like a lot, but every little helps when you're trying to go as fast as you can. There is a little catch for this one though. It only works in gear higher than item level 200, so pretty much you have to pick up a ring at level 111, typically from the auction house. That's the fastest way to get it, and go from there. It's going to be very, very difficult to get this gem to work below level 111, but at least you'll have that 5% for the last little stretch. Alright, so now we have all of our bonus experience sorted, we're pumped to the max with extra XP, but how should we go about actually leveling? Well, that's going to depend on what you like to do and how quickly you want to go. The absolute fastest leveling right now is hands down questing from 20 to 120, for the most part at any rate. There are a few exceptions and I'll be sure to make note of them as we go through this, but for the most part you're going to be questing if you want to go fast. There's two huge factors to consider here. The first is Warmode. That bonus doesn't apply to dungeons or battlegrounds. You could be missing out on 30% bonus experience, which is just way too huge to pass up. The second reason is that you don't have to queue for anything, you can quest at your own pace, and it doesn't matter what class or role you are. Questing as DPS is usually the fastest option, but queuing for dungeons as a DPS means waiting around a lot. You can queue up for dungeons and do them in between quests for a nice change of pace. Just bear in mind that it might slow you down just a little bit in the long run. Dungeon spamming is absolutely viable still if that's your thing, but dungeons are a little bit harder these days and overall just take quite a bit longer than they used to. There's a few reasons for that, including heirloom nerfs in previous patches and dungeon tweaks to go along with it. But if you really want to dungeon spam, you go on right ahead. If you're queuing as a tank or healer, it should still be pretty quick leveling. You might prefer dungeons because they're a little more mindless when compared to questing. You have to actually pay attention to a few things, right? Pick up that quest, pick up this loot. Wait, where was I going with this bear hide again? Well, if you're wanting to just breeze through questing, I might have an add-on just for you. Azeroth Autopilot is the newest version of Con's Legion, if you're around for Legion, which took us through Battle for Azeroth super smoothly and efficiently. If you're leveling any alts through BFA anytime soon, I would highly recommend this add-on. But the add-on author has gone one step further. The add-on now covers the entire leveling path from level 20 to 120. It shows you exactly where to go, which quests to pick up, where to go to complete the quests, and when to hand in your full quest log of completed quests. It's highly efficient and designed to take you from 20 to 120 as fast as possible. So if you haven't quested in a while or even leveled up, this add-on might be just what you need to get you through it. It also comes with options to auto-fly to your next destination, auto-sell grey items and auto repair whenever you interact with a repair NPC. It's pretty handy, almost too handy. I'll be using it for pretty much any leveling I'm doing for the rest of this expansion, and probably for every expansion they decide to update the add-on for, assuming we're leveling next expansion. There's been some interesting back and forth on that particular topic. But let's stay on track. Azeroth Autopilot is a fantastic add-on for leveling no matter who you are. So you're questing for the most part, and that's where the fast experience is, until you get to about level 90. That's where the Warloads of Draenor expansion kicks in, and this one is a little weird. You should quest through your starter zone as well as Gorgrond. The quests in Gorgrond give a huge amount of experience, and there's also a crazy amount of bonus objectives there, which also give a huge amount of experience. You should also be collecting any treasure you come across, because those also give a silly amount of experience for just clicking on an item. I would recommend installing Handy Notes and the Draenor treasure add-ons to help with that. With a flying mount, you can just hop from treasure to treasure, finish Gorgon quests and objectives, and be ready to move on to Legion stuff. Warlords might be one of the fastest expansions to get through now, and you can make it even faster with a little potion which is just for Draenor. At your garrison, which you set up in the introduction to Warlords of Draenor zones, you should be able to locate a garrison quartermaster. That vendor will sell a 20% bonus XP potion for 100 garrison resources, so any spare resources you get from collecting those treasures should probably go towards a potion or two to really speed this entire portion of leveling up. As you head into Legion content, there's another little trick to leveling quickly, but this one is on a timer rather than always being available. It's exactly like the faction incursions from BFA, but for Legion instead. One of the zones of the Broken Isles can have a Legion invasion with world quests on the map. Completing those world quests will reward you with a huge chunk of experience, quite a bit more than a typical quest, so it's definitely worthwhile clearing those off your map whenever you see them come up. Depending on how long it takes you to level through the Legion zones, you might see 2 or 3 invasions, which is easily 2 levels worth of experience. With how much experience they actually give you, it's not uncommon for players to leave their ults hovering around 100 for a little bit, and just using these invasions to level them up to 110. I know that's how I leveled a lot of my ults back in the day, and I've slowly been leveling my rogue that very same way. It's your call, but I would at least pop by any invasions that I see while leveling. And then we're all caught up with Battle for Azeroth. The questing experience from 110 to 120 is still relatively fresh for a lot of us, so getting through it might not be too bad. But remember, you can use Azeroth Autopilot if you want to streamline the entire process, and there's quite a few sources of bonus experience still available to you. One that I didn't mention, which is specific to the 110 to 120 adventure, comes from faction incursions. If you complete them on a character below max level, you won't get any service medals, but you will get a 1 hour buff which provides you with 10% bonus experience. Combine that with the experience gem and some of the Warfront potions and you're laughing all the way to 120. If you really don't want to work your way through the quests in BFA again, spamming island expeditions is actually really good experience still, you know. If you can handle spamming islands over and over and over again. I mean, at least you get a chance at doubloons and loot, right? As for me, I'll stick to quests for a little bit. I'm tired of islands for now. So be sure to pick up all the heirlooms you're going to need, look into those service medals to purchase some drafts of 10 lands, and take advantage of every little thing you can while leveling. Warmode, experience gems, treasures, bonus objectives, or world quests, and you should be hightailing it to max level in no time. Will you be leveling any characters before Season 2 of Battle for Azeroth starts? Maybe changing your main character, or just having some fun with another alt? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.